as you all just heard from Colin, who talked a little bit about, how Filecoin's virtual machine fits into the larger master plan, I'd love to spend just a few minutes to walk you through what of that has already become real, as opposed to kind of just the broader vision. So I'll put this one in front of you all. We're 5 days away from user programmability coming to the Filecoin virtual machine, and it's super exciting. And I'll talk at the end a bit about how you can get involved in the launch and how you can be a part of this. Many of you already are, but there's like fun things here. And it's on Pi Day, which is really, I don't know, fun for the nerd in me. And we have some fun visuals around this. So Colin already alluded to this, but I wanted to, really talk about how FVM will unleash this full potential of an open data economy as opposed to kind of the closed one that we're in today, and how it holds really promising potential for a bunch of different stakeholders, both in our ecosystem as well as in Web3 more broadly, and then ultimately really the world. And I'd argue there's really like 4 key groups here: developers, ecosystem capital in air quotes, so people who are excited to invest in the ventures here, storage providers, and then the world and users and consumers that will end up interacting with a lot of the tools that come here. For the developers, I think what's really exciting here is that you can build for the first time these data economy tools and dApps that could never be built before, and do that in a way where you're able to leverage tried and tested tools. We heard before from Wes and the Bacalhau team about how they're enabling artists to participate in the value that they create by feeding their work into an AI model. And I think this is one of the things that just could not be done before, and that's exciting to developers. On the ecosystem capital side, Ruben talked about it, right? Like PhilVC, there's tremendous interest here from investors and other stakeholders to incubate a lot of these FVM-enabled ventures and help developers grow them in sizable existing, nascent, or entirely new markets. And I'll kind of click into some of those in just a second. And then on the storage provider side, who are so tremendously necessary and important to the Filecoin network, and where we've seen such tremendous growth over the past year, both in terms of adding capacity as well as in filling that capacity with useful data. This network of storage providers will be able to use FVM to really supercharge their growth and benefit from this evolution of Filecoin into the platform that will power the data economy, right? Like, and all the additional storage demand that will unlock and all sorts of things around that. And then for the world, ultimately, right, for the users and consumers that interact with these tools and apps and networks, they will be able to participate for the first time in a truly open data economy, and hopefully, at least that's my hope and my ambition here, turn the web into something that's more open, more equitable, and more resilient than the one that we're seeing today. Let me double click into each of these and talk a little bit about the traction that we've seen around FVM. So on the developer side, as many of you know, we have over 16,000 developers in the Filecoin ecosystem, multiples of that in all of Web3, and all of those developers will be brought much closer to this ecosystem through the launch of FVM. And we've deliberately launched EVM as the first runtime on top of Filecoin Virtual Machine to make it as easy as possible for developers who are familiar with Solidity and other tools to join our ecosystem and bring their creativity and their energy to this FVM powered ecosystem now. We've seen tremendous success here. We have hundreds of teams building on the FVM testnet. Moshe already talked about it briefly. They're building across many opportunity areas around data onboarding, data management, DeFi, integration tools, discovery and analytics. And many of these hundreds of teams will deploy to mainnet once it goes live on Tuesday, and solve very real problems with the solutions that they've put together. And then ultimately, we continue to have, as Colin alluded to, FVM-targeted builder programs for all stages of maturity, right? So around education, hackathons, around once a month, grants, the accelerators, from Graph Paper Capital and Longhash that were just announced a few days ago, as well as opportunities like FilVC that unlock funding. So really FVM here is exciting and energizing this community of developers. And there is, while we've seen a lot of success here and we're engaging a lot of teams, what I'm so excited for is really this first part, right? Like there's tremendous potential here to recruit even more talent into our space. On the ecosystem capital side, I think what's tremendously exciting to them is that FVM represents sizable existing markets. So this is what Colin alluded to around storage, compute, and retrieval, summing to over $300 billion. Nascent markets like permanent storage that is estimated to be worth around $300 million and today primarily serves NFTs and their preservation, but then also new markets, right? So think about the top 10 closed social graph companies. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. They have combined trillions of dollars of market cap. And now imagine if you open that up, right? What if all of us owned our social graph? What if the social graph wasn't owned by these? I'd argue there's tremendous potential here. And if we actually move to a world where we own our data and we decide when we want to aggregate and monetize that, we are looking at a vastly larger market here. So it's super exciting for people who are excited to accelerate and incubate businesses and service around these opportunities. And once again, we're seeing that this is working, right? So we have 2 accelerator programs that have already been announced that have earmarked millions of dedicated funding to help FVM teams get off the ground. And we are seeing, and I love to see that chart that Ruben showed just a moment ago, tremendous interest from a lot of investors in the space that are looking to capitalize on the emergence of ventures in this open data economy. And we're excited to make those matches and help them find teams that really would benefit from their help. The next one is storage providers and ultimately other network participants, right? So as Colin alluded or kind of mentioned earlier, there's really 3 components. There's storage, compute, and retrieval. All these will be served by a network of nodes. Today, storage is primarily known as the storage network, but that will change over time. So we have over 3,800 storage provider systems. It's exciting to see what these 3 businesses do to capture clients. I think with FVM, we'll see a lot of opportunity for them to further differentiate, to use reputation tools and other ways to really unlock new client segments here, which is exciting to storage providers. They also have collectively locked up over 130 million Filecoins to secure the data and the network that they're contributing to. And this is despite of the current complexity in accessing this capital, right? So just imagine here if that becomes easier with the solutions that will come online with FVM, there is a huge pent-up demand, I'd argue here, for more Filecoin to be used to supercharge growth and unlock new opportunity. And then, as Colin mentioned, we have more than 10, it's actually around 13 exabytes in capacity that are ready to absorb immutably content addressed and verifiably persistent data sets. And it's really important, right? This immutability and the verifiability are things that are unique to Filecoin. You cannot build this with other technology, right? Like at least like with Web 2. And I'd argue that this is a tremendous, unique asset of the Filecoin economy that we're seeing lots of interest in, especially, as in a world of fake news, where and other things, and AI generated content will see a lot of interest in these kinds of characteristics for a storage network. So super exciting. And then we have seen already this tremendous growth over the past year, that we can continue to further supercharge with easier to use data on-ramps and tooling around that. So this growth that I find super exciting, I think it's 25x in usage over the past year, since the beginning to the end of the year. I'm excited to see what that number looks like at the end of 2023. I do believe that FVM really has the potential to move the needle here substantially. And then last, but definitely not least, oops, sorry, I skipped one there. Oops, let me see if I can find it. I think it's having, there we go. The word, right? So why I think like FVM is exciting to us who are kind of close to the Filecoin ecosystem, but I'm super excited for these, many launch partnerships that we will be announcing soon and that they will be announcing around FVM. It's been such a pleasure to have these conversations with some of these partners and talk to them about the potential FVM. And many were, jumping on the opportunity to be a part of this. And I'm excited to share some of those kind of as we go into launch week next week. We've also seen a lot of interest from major news outlets who are just excited around the potential of FVM, and multiple podcasts, interviews have been done over the past few weeks, and I expect that will continue, just because it is such a uniquely interesting thing. And then Paige already talked to us about the 50,000 live streams of the Countdown to Launch event. Only the merge of Ethereum and I think one other thing had more live viewers, but that's a very good company to be in. And once again, it really shows that the world is excited for this technology and the potential that it holds. And then ultimately, I'm excited for all these dApps, and we saw Wes kind of like showcasing a little bit of the potential there for really everyday consumers to participate in an FVM-powered open data economy that is more equitable. To me, this is like the most exciting part. It will be way easier for us all to coordinate and bootstrap into existence valuable large data sets around research and science, but also things like really just owning your own social graph and other ways, and monetizing that in ways that are hopefully a bit more creative than just advertising, which is the dominant model of today. So I'm excited for all of us and for the world and for consumers to take control of their own data and monetize that, and do with that what they want to do with it, as opposed to handing it over to a few large corporations. So that's kind of like my attempt at pulling together why FVM is exciting and what kind of traction we're seeing across these key stakeholders. It builds on activities that we've been doing for the past few weeks. As we led up to the launch of Filecoin Virtual Machine, we've been targeting these kind of different audiences that I talked about with different kinds of activations. The Countdown to East Denver event we already heard about, and many people kind of watching in person on site, but then also all the live streamers, 3-hour program, and really many launch partner conversations that I mentioned earlier that deepened or initiated around that event. The other thing that I'll highlight is the Space Warp program that we did, which is still going. It's resulted in over 170 teams building around FVM. We conducted our most successful hackathon with over 1,000 builders. We've awarded multiple microgrants. There was a bug bounty program, and these programs will continue to exist as we kind of move into the next phases, the launch next week and into the future. The one thing that I want to leave you with today is to please, mark your calendars on the 14th and join our live stream. Where we will, it's actually shortly after we, probably launch, but we'll be talking about FVM again, We'll maybe showcase some of the initial traction that we're seeing. We'll have some of our amazing launch partners join us, and we'll, we're just excited to welcome you there and have that discussion. And then as we move into the future and as FVM continues to unfold its potential, we'll do more events for all of these audiences to really bring that to life. And I'm super excited for it. So thanks so much.